Hello, if you're new here, my name is Sucha, and it has been quite a while since I've come on here and posted and created. I've been creating in many other ways. This is my herb garden that I'm just sitting next to, and I have been dropping into learning more music, activating my voice. I just got a drum, but honestly, I haven't come on here a lot because I feel like I've been really trying to sync up with voicing out what's going on with my life, and it's just been happening so fast. There's been so much death. Like, I've been in a death cycle for the past 2 years, but I've also felt like this spring feels like an emergence, the rebirth. I feel it so much, and it's so beautiful, and there's still those challenging, hard times. There's still those times where I want to hold on, and God's just telling me you need to let go. You need to let go with both hands. And then that's the beautiful part of the surrender. What I really want to drop in here today is just a raw thought flow around what the rebirth has looked like. And it's literally everything from what I feel called to post on here, my Instagram, how I'm eating, how I'm nurturing myself, how I'm resting, how I'm working, building capacity for more in life, how I'm moving through relationship situations. Like, there's so much here. So the biggest life update is I basically feel like I moved into my dream home here in Valley Center, which is in Northeast County, San Diego, at the beginning of January. And it was a crazy story because a few days before I moved in here, I didn't even know this place existed. And I had come back from India and I was like, I have no idea where I'm gonna live. And I really had to surrender to a vision that I could not visualize. And this is really where I feel like my connection with God and my inner spirituality has just been rooting down deeper and higher, because I had to really lay it down and just be like, God, I trust that you have a vision bigger for me that I can't even foresee. I can't even perceive. And this place, it was brought to me in such a divine way. My man helped me find it, and it was beautiful. It was furnished. There was this perfect little herb garden that looked nothing like this. It looked a lot more empty, but there was so many eucalyptus trees, and there's so many other parts of this place, which fast forward now almost 5.5 months later, I am moving out, which I didn't realize I'd be moving out so quickly, but I'm realizing this is part of my rebirth, which I'll get to. But as far as the place goes, I will do my best to post another video that is basically a home tour of this incredible place here in Valley Center. It's pretty much up an entire mountain. It's still San Diego County, but I feel like I'm just tucked away from the world, and that's a lot of what I wanted coming out here. We're inside now, so this is just a little peep. It's a basically 1-bedroom casita, so I have a bedroom and I have a bathroom. So it's not a full-on studio, which I've been used to living in. So this place has held me so well. The rains were crazy this past year, and I think that, but additionally, just some pre-existing things in this place, we discovered some mold. And so, like, I just used to never really take mold stuff seriously, but I felt like the message was coming in this time, like this mold situation had to be taken more seriously. And I was actually reflecting on my time while I was living in Florida. Like, it never occurred to me, this is wild, I'll probably have to do a little bit more of a deeper dive into this chapter of my life, but when I lived in Florida, it literally rains like crazy there, it's humid, and we were living in an apartment, and you could clearly see mold, but this is 2021, a few years ago, and I just wasn't taking it seriously at all. Like, I was like, okay, that's mold, that's probably like gross, but like, I'll just avoid those areas. And I didn't realize living in mold, like living literally in a building that's like rotting with mold, could be so harmful. So during that same time period, when I was living in Florida, 2021, literally pretty much right after I moved there is when I started the carnivore diet. And I thought the entire time I would get, I had a few weeks of this where I'd literally feel like I was fainting. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, why do I feel like I'm dying? But it wasn't even fainting. I just felt like I had to lay down in the bed in the middle of the day, and I was like, why am I feeling this insane fatigue? But it almost freaked me out. And I thought it was like carnivore flu symptoms, because people talked about getting the carnivore flu. But now looking back, I'm like, no, these were not flu-like symptoms. This is probably me getting crazy fatigue from mold. So it's just wild to like think back now 3 years ago and what mold toxicity is like. And I'm not kind of like spiraling myself into that, but I am just taking this situation seriously. So it's been wild, because this place literally is perfect. It gives me everything I need. It's far away from a little bit of things, but that was part of my intention of being further away, so that I'm more intentional with my time retreating, nesting, hermiting in my little casita. And when I go out, it is intentional to go out into town, and it's not like frequent errands day to day. There's days that I just literally stay here on the land and I don't move my car, and it is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so I want to dive a little bit into like Instagram. It's crazy how even though Instagram is just a platform, it can be such a mirror for us. And I don't like demonizing Instagram, because I really do feel like it is a really cool platform where we can express and get things mirrored back to us and connect. And I personally used Instagram as a marketing tool for years. Like when I think about it, literally for the past 7, almost 8 years of my life, I was using Instagram to market my business, my events, my brand. The past 1.5 years, I've started working full time with Perennial Pastures Ranch, which has been incredible. And it has been like, a lot of people say, you know, you should get into entrepreneurship. And so doing the opposite, like being an entrepreneur, having my own business, and then getting into a job, a full-time job where I'm an employee, that has been very humbling and a really big, it's just been a big shift. And I'll get into that in a different conversation around how that's actually been very abundant for me and given me financial stability and trust, and allowed me spaciousness to save up and actually become an investor in a company and invest in funds and learn so many money things and just heal my relationship with money and build wealth in that way. But as far as just inner work and how I'm using Instagram and feeling my identity for so long was attached to the brand that I built on Instagram, which was initially a vegan fitness person teaching yoga. And when I was doing events, it was like plant-based protein, fitness, yoga, like very focused on that. And then even when I had a shift to eating animal-based eating, it was still very much focused on eating, diet. I'd always been fasting and sharing about fasting, which I'm still an advocate of, but I'm figuring out a more organic, true to me way of sharing, and an ancestral approach to movement. And I was still offering retreats. And so I was always offering retreats and events and workshops and classes for like past several years. And at some little points I experimented with merch or products or food products. But Instagram was always a place where I shared my lifestyle, and it felt always really organic and true to me, and people really resonated with it. And ultimately that was the way I was storytelling and sharing. And that's how I was able to say like, hey, this is the lifestyle. Come to a retreat, come to a class, come to an event. And it felt really good and it was so fun. But last year is when 2023, I started phasing out of events, and I did a few little workshops, but I noticed even then it was just not like, I didn't have capacity for it. In 2022, I had hosted a big event and I really got the call. It was like, I just don't have the bandwidth to do events and retreats currently. I could build capacity and give myself time to fully marinate in my full-time job and building my role even there, and then see if I could now, like after I've fully given myself a chance to like hold what is coming to me in my job, and then, you know, come back to it and recreate. And that's bringing us all to the now. So releasing that identity has been a process. And I knew it was coming since 2022. At the end of the year, I just got such a call. I was like, I need to pause with events. And my business at that time was called Live Blissed. So for the past several months, like more than half a year, I would say, yeah, like almost 3/4 of a year, like almost 8-9 months, I haven't hosted anything, any kind of offering. But I was still using my Instagram platform that I've had for all of these years to share. And I'm not selling anything. I'm not offering anything. I'm not trying to promote a brand. I'm still figuring out what is being rebirthed through me. And a lot of that was a change with my diets. I started eating some grains and rice and soaked lentils and variety of different other foods and experimentation phase. Yeah, diving a lot more into sexuality, pleasure, relationship, healing in that, pouring so much into my relationship. And I'm not even gonna just blame it on work. For not running my business, I've dove so much more into my relationship. And I feel like when you create a relationship where you're like, this is the relationship I want to create and nurture fertile soil into and have as my foundation for life, like this is my partner, I really want to pour into this union, we have to pour time into that. It's not like my pattern in the past was like, I'm just going to prioritize everything else in life and then my boyfriend's my boyfriend. But this time it's been different. So for the past 2 years, the man in my life has been shifting so much for me and catalyzing so much. Catalyzing is a better word because he has not forced anything on me, but I've just felt this bigger call and we've talked about it. So many beautiful conversations around relationship and sex and how to build more capacity, how to pour into that, have that be the foundation. How can pouring into your relationship allow you to even build more wealth and create a tribe of friends and pour more into your arts and hobbies? But the surrender process was hard. It's like this huge tug of war with God this entire past 2 years. So coming back to my Instagram profile, it was primal.yogi. It's still there as of right now. I got this big call like 2 weeks ago. I got it before, but 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago now, where I was like, I'm still so attached to all of the content I put into there. I've wrote so much, done so many photo shoots. It's documented all of my events, all of my achievements. I have so many story highlights, so many things. I'm following so many people. I feel weird to unfollow, even though it's not aligned, like so many things. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So it was a very therapeutic process to basically archive like 500 plus posts, unfollow almost 1,300 people, and remove some highlights. And even then, when I go onto that profile, it's so easy for me to be like, oh, but I put so much work into this. Like, I still want to make my feed look nice and have my content be congruent. And so the message there was like, it's okay. You're going to be safe to start fresh. If I created this once, I could create it again. And honestly, like 2021, 2022 is when I was really putting a lot of work into building up my following. And it's been at a plateau, and it's because I haven't had any offerings. I haven't poured time into content creation on my Instagram. I've like slowly had longer and longer time gaps between, how often I'm posting. I used to post literally every single day. So it's just, and that's why I say like Instagram's such an interesting mirror. And I remember several times I would like resent time I was spending in relationship because I'm like, oh, this is the time I needed to post. And it made me realize like how much time and capacity it takes to really show up on social media. And then I'm like, I'm showing up, but I'm not getting paid for this. And there's a time and place where putting out a lot of free content really made sense for me when I was building my brand, but I'm not selling. I don't have a business on social media anymore. So I've had to like really come back to myself and say like, what am I using social media for? And absolutely the connection. It feels good to see what my friends are doing, and it feels good to update people in that way. And it feels fun to have this like, regardless if you have a business or not, it's kind of this brand, this embodiment, expression of yourself that you get to play with online, because whether we like it or not, like, so much of what we're doing is online. But that being said, I still felt like I really wanted to create. And I was like, you know what? Can I feel good creating, even if I know I'm not making any money from this? I'm not trying to, like, right now build a specific brand. I'm just here to play. And I realized that as long as I'm using my older account, Primal Yogi, to do so, I'm still gonna feel a little bit of tightness and restriction. And even when I go on now to post, it's like I'm sharing this stuff to an audience that I mostly built a few years ago that was used to me posting about diet and animal-based eating or vegan eating. I'm sure the vegan people probably unfollowed by now, but at least ancestral animal-based eating. And I love that. And I still live true to a lot of those practices, but it's not something that I'm sharing so much of. And I really want to dive into, like, the depths of pleasure and relationship and sex and just inner work and sharing my voice more, even if that's, like, in a more musical way. And gardening, I'm gonna pop over to my garden so you can see more of it, but the different types of ways I'm creating and just have it be a playful space. So I have a new account out, and I just felt like that was really pivotal with the rebirth. But even now, it's been about 2 weeks since I've created that profile. I'll go on to my old profile and I'll be like, dang, what did I do? Should I just go back to this profile? Like, I've put so much work into it. And that's really been a big part of the, not just identity shedding, but also, like, just the entire theme around letting go, like knowing you're always able to start from fertile soil and it's not just like you're starting from scratch, and trusting that you're not leaving anything behind either. I can't get over how beautiful this garden is, but we're at the garden now. And speaking of just letting go, literally I moved here January of this year, 2024, and then as my garden was starting to bloom, like, I literally have mint and citronella and parsley and oregano and spearmint, and this chamomile is freaking thriving. These chamomile babies are, like, literally my babies. I love them so much. But basically, like, as my garden is just fully thriving, like, it's full spring time, full bloom. I don't know if you see that nasturtium. It is insane. Like, it's overflowing. Crazy. But as the garden is in full bloom is when I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm moving. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I need to, like, pot up all my plants. And then I was like, what does it look like to leave the garden, leave the earth better than you found it? I'm sure I could propagate some of this, which I'm excited to explore, but this was like a letting go, because this felt like something I've been creating for the past few months. And, like, it's one thing to create on social media, but then creating, like, something that's so giving like this, and then letting go is a different feeling. But even just seeing it come to life, like planting something from seed, seeing it to come to life. There's some sunflower babies there that I thought I'd be here for, to actually see the sunflower shoot up. I won't be here for that, but I hope whoever is here next gets to enjoy it. But that was a big letting go. So I think the biggest message that keeps coming through with this rebirth process is just the call to come closer to home, closer to your creator. And that can be the universe, that can be Mama Earth. I feel like I've been really resonating with God, really tuning into yoga, which translates to union. So this doesn't mean I'm rigorously practicing yoga poses every day, but how am I practicing yoga literally every second of the day? Like, what am I doing to come back to union and trust and surrender? And it's been, again, letting go of the grip of both of my hands, even if there's huge moments of uncertainty, and trusting what is beyond me and trusting what I'm here to do. My surrender with even being at a full-time job and allowing myself to fully feel feel my fullest with the job and not resent it, and feel like I'm growing and feeling abundance with it, and not giving into the message of society these days, where it used to be like, follow the formula, get a 9 to 5. And now it's like, quit your 9 to 5 and be an entrepreneur. And I don't know if that will happen for me again, but I do know right now I am learning so much, and I'm feeling so held, and I'm really building capacity while at my job. And yeah, as I've built capacity, the start of the year, I took on a bigger role, which I'll talk about probably in a different video of what that's like and what being a leader has been like in a very fast growing business. But the beginning of the year, I was so full. I was like, is this what my life's going to be? But I got the message, and that's what allowed me to really trust and stay in it, was like, no, I'm just being stretched right now in a really good way. Like, God is stretching me and building my capacity so that I can take on more. And so the past few weeks, I finally, although it's always busy and it's been full, I've been like, dang, I feel myself being able to like take on more of this, more responsibility. Even receiving more money and being able to save more money and hold that is like more responsibility. So it's just been really cool. I'm so grateful for this time to feel lost and to feel like I don't know who I am, and I don't know what I'm sharing on social media, and I don't know what I'm offering, because it's allowed myself to just heal so much, and then emptying, just clearing out so much of what I was holding on to before. Like I said, I've been in this tug of war battle with God for the past 2 years, and I'm finally just like come to those points. Even letting go of this home, I was like, where am I gonna live? And I'm so happy I trusted, because I found the most beautiful space ever. But it was probably the most challenging 2 weeks ever, just a week ago, going through like, what am I gonna do? And it's just been like these bigger risks I've had to take with like unknowns and challenges, and surrendering to a vision that's beyond me. It's not even about like manifesting anymore, where I'm like creating the vision in my mind. It's like, no, what is the bigger thing that needs to come through me? That's something I can't even like perceive and see. And that's been really exciting, but it's also been really scary. And I feel my capacity growing to hold more and to be responsible for more. And I don't even know what I'm getting prepared for yet. And I'm just here for it, and I'm excited, but I don't know what I'm getting prepared for yet. And so I'm here for it. I'm here for the ride. And I'm feeling very surrendered most days to this rebirth process. But I feel like if you're in it, if you're feeling like you're really shedding the layers, letting go of the past identities, trust that you are not leaving anything behind. And even if it feels like you're starting from a blank canvas, you're starting from fertile soil that can regenerate. I love this idea of regeneration, not just because I'm in that industry, but I just really feel like we can continuously regenerate, and there's so much fertility around that we can tap into. And the more we can shed, the more we can empty, the more we can clear all of the noise around us. And for me, that's even been like living literally further away. It allows for more stillness and just allows for more of what needs to come through you. I could go on. There's a lot here, but anyone going through a death and a rebirth, I fucking know how hard it is, and I am here with you. And if you have any experiences that you're currently going through or any themes, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear more about it. And I am really feeling like I'm in this energy where I can show up more here. Video has always been such an exciting way for me to tell my stories and share and document. And I will also drop my new Instagram down below. I'll also drop my old Instagram down below if you do want to see what the evolution has been like, but I will be pouring more into my new Instagram. It's called Sucharita Coming Home, and Sucharita is my full name, and that's a whole thing too that I'll share more on, reclaiming the whole name. Thank you for tuning in, for being here for the raw thoughts, the long, deep talks. Subscribe if you haven't already. I am feeling juiced up to show up on here more.